You're listening to NFT 365, the first daily podcast on NFTs with your host, Fanzo.
What's up, friends? Welcome back to another episode of NFT 365. One of the things that I want to kind of throw out there and really, kind of put into our, into the, atmosphere here on NFT 365 is that I appreciate each and every one of you. I am a full-time keynote speaker. I like to say, like, I struggled as a creator trying to figure out what did I want to be when I grew up, and like what was my job, my profession, how was I going to make this whole thing work? And I'll just say, like, for me, part of the equation, part of the conversation was really like, I didn't like fit in. I was more of like the misfit. I am proudly multi-hyphenated, multi-passionate, where I have lots of interests. It plays into my ADHD and my neurodiversity. While at the same time, the thing that I've always valued and the thing that I've treasured is when, people give me, their time and attention. And so when someone says, like, Brian, how do you, not get nervous or, deliver even if there's only 10 people in the audience or there's 30,000 people in the audience? And my answer is pretty simple. Like, I value more than anything else people's most valuable, possession, which is time, because no money, nothing in the world will give us back, our time. And so I appreciate each and every one of you that are that listen to the podcast, that share it, those that have left reviews on iTunes. Even if you don't listen to every episode, you pop in here and there. I just want to say thank you first off, and just kind of put that out. And we are definitely going on a journey. And Allison, our head of community here with the podcast, she was, we were having a conversation. She was like, what, Brian, it's been, interesting kind of listening and kind of going on this journey with you with the podcast, because we get to see kind of like the entire ebbs and flows, when you're passionate, when you're fired up, when you're, not doing so well, maybe when you're disappointed in the NFT space, maybe when you're slightly jaded, maybe when you're, passionate, maybe when you're kind of stuck in a rut. And then she said, well, it's probably just kind of, it's probably also just like the ride of Web3. And I know she's right. And the beauty is, that, she's done an amazing job with our community and so many other of our moderators and those that have really just stepped up and went from, listeners and fans to supporters to, advocates to allies to now on our team. And you definitely have to give a big shout out to all of our members, all of our community moderators, everyone on the team that is supporting, of course, the team as well for, those on the Mile 62 side of the house. And we're doing a podcast episode every single day. We're doing a video every single day. For those that don't know, I record these on video, so you can watch them on YouTube if you'd prefer. We also are like editing that video to put it on TikTok and Instagram. We have a blog post that goes up every single day up onto our website by Kevin, and we have educational content, a lot of the content, ebooks that we're writing by Josh and the team. And we have a thriving Discord, and we've launched multiple NFTs. We've done the Proof of Podcast. It's been a wild ride, right? And when we came up with this idea in November, there's no way that we would have factored in all of these moving parts and all of the the different aspects. But for those, like, I get introduced as a digital futurist, right? Like, that's what I get introduced, right now, and it kind of fits perfectly, because for me, a digital futurist, really what that means is, I help people understand kind of where we're going, but also recognize kind of like it's not about, robots taking over the earth or artificial intelligence, being the end all be all. And I like to say, like, for me, like, I really believe that the magic of, the innovation of the future and where we're going is not about more technology, not about less technology, not about unplugging, but rather finding that intersection, or really listening for the harmony between technology and humanity. Now, that might sound a little fluffy, but it's not, because for me, that is the magic that we're kind of looking for. And it's why I'm all in with Web3. It's why I'm all in with NFTs, because for me, a lot of what NFTs offer, a lot of what this whole equation comes down to is this idea of, serendipity and finding our people. And, interestingly enough, like my yearbook quote was "Go big or go home." And then we also had to provide, I believe it was because of, with our senior superlatives in 1999 when I was graduating high school. And they said, like, Brian, what's your like mission statement? What's the thing that that drives you or motivates you? And at the time, I think I just said the first thing that came off the top of my head. I was like, I love connecting great people with great people to do great things. And over the years, like that to me is like the essence of like my North Star. It hasn't really changed much. Some that is like, I truly do believe that there's just magic in connecting great people. And I believe that's where innovation happens. That's where social good happens. That's where we grow teams. But here's the truth. The disconnect online has really been, this idea of community. And community is nothing new, right? I mean, community has been around since the beginning of time, and we can think about it from a standpoint of, tribes and picking your family and, people that are migrating to new areas. And a lot of what, community, like for me, when I define it, right, for, this is a topic that I've been speaking about, I've got to work with a lot of brands on how do they build their external and internal community, everything from employee advocacy to influencer marketing to social media to really even, community empowerment, right? And, one of the chapters I wrote in my book was, the future of business is community. But I'm here to tell you that building community in 2022 is not easy. There's no easy button. There are unique variables that we've never had to deal with or handle or think about in the past. There's components of community and really true connection that we have to factor in because of the global pandemic. We also have to factor in things that have been sold as community over the years that truly isn't community, right? Everything from a Facebook group to an email newsletter to a following that we have on Instagram, to people that show up to our live stream, right? And a lot of times the conversations that I get into are really around this idea of like separating the difference between an audience and a community, or the difference between a following and a community. And I've done some episodes on that on the podcast, but I wanted to actually kind of shift this narrative for this episode on really what are the things that community looks like, feels like, and ultimately what can we learn from our community mistakes of the past that we can implement in this, new, 2022 and beyond. And here's the truth is that I am someone that gets hired to speak at events on community. If you asked a lot of people that got to know me over the years, they would say like, Brian is a community guy. Like that's what Brian is all about. But here's the truth is that like I got community wrong for much of the last 18 months. I kind of, when I think back over the last 18 months, a lot of what my mission, what I was driving to create, the things that I was focused on empowering, they didn't change. But how that showed up, how I thought about things like, what are our values? What are the things that we care about? And part of that became this idea where I started to get a little bit overwhelmed. I started to be like, you know what? I don't want to build just like my community. I want to be a part of others' communities. I want to join communities on different apps and platforms. I want to find my people. And by doing so, I without question kind of neglected what I would be considered like the community that I had been working very hard to build over the last many years. But the other thing that I learned, and this is one of those things that is really hard to accept, and I think for NFT projects, this is essential, is that the community is not about the project. The community is not about the founders. The community is not about the actual even individuals that make up the NFT project or those that hold the NFT. Community is about that shared values and common purpose and a shared desire and passion for outcome. You can't have a community if together you have different goals and different desires and different ideas of how we implement what these values are, even how fast or how quickly or how slowly we think about things. And I will tell you, when I look at a lot, I was going through today. We're doing a masterclass for all of our holders of the Superfans NFT, and I was going through all of the NFTs that I've bought over the last year, right? And it's somewhere north of 700 NFTs or so total. And I was looking at my notes, and a lot of my notes said things like potential for a strong community, or community values seem established, excited to see what this becomes, or unique mix of mission, utility, roadmap. Will be interesting to see how this community, kind of fosters and grows. But the thing about like powerful communities, and if we think about even the communities that we belong to offline and outside of the digital space, it's about that feeling of belonging. It's about that feeling that your voice matters. It's about really not the people that created or started a community, but it's really about that thing that I said earlier. It's about finding your people. And as a community leader, as an NFT project founder, here's what we have to understand, what we have to wrap our head around, is that our goal is to facilitate conversations, to create a space where people with like-minded interests or things that they connect with can connect with each other. Like the true power of what we're looking for in community is that we get that feeling when we open the Discord, when we jump on Twitter, that like, these are my people. And if your goal is that you have to empower people and drive conversations, yes, you need to have a thread and you need to have community managers and you need to empower those community managers. But here's the truth. If your community managers and those owners of those NFTs and those that you want to join and buy your NFTs in the secondary market, if they don't understand your values, if they don't understand the things that are non-negotiable in your life, the things that you care more about than anything, the things that you will go to battle for, then what you're building ultimately is just going to be on unsettled ground. And I believe a lot of NFT projects right now, today, like right now as we are speaking, when I was going in, like for this masterclass, I'm going into these Discords that I belong to for 6 months. And I haven't gone into them in a long while. And man, it is a whole lot of, this is what, we are doing as the founders. There's a whole lot of talking at people, not talking with people. There's a whole lot of people that aren't feeling like their voice or their, contributions are valued. And that is also kind of connected to this idea of exclusivity, right? And exclusivity, we have to make sure that our communities are inclusive, but the exclusivity part of it, where there's only 10,000 holders, or you have to hold a certain amount of ADHD coin, what the beauty of that is it adds a little bit of this kind of, like we're on the inside, and it allows people to feel, that initial connection and value. But I will tell you that my mission moving forward, and we're starting at this, upcoming Friday, is that, I really want to open that dialogue. I want to talk with our community, not at our community. I want to empower our community members to be, more voices. I want to make sure that they understand that they're as much an owner of our podcast community as I am. I want them to feel as though when, the collective whole is passionate about something, that not only are we listening, but we're open to change and we're open to understanding our core, kind of focus. And so I will tell you, when you're evaluating NFT projects, and you're going to evaluate community, it's not about the numbers. It's not even really, for the most part, the types of people that are in there, right? Maybe a little bit to do with the people's activity or potential activity. But I actually believe like one of those like secret weapons when you're trying to research, discover, understand is how committed are these communities to putting their values out there, having strong opinions, but having them loosely held. How much do this community value that the fact that each person that's inside is an owner and that they want to feel a part of something, right? And part of that is when we're looking at a community, we need to ask ourselves, what aspect of collaboration can live within this Discord, within these holders? And if we struggle to find how collaboration will be facilitated or delivered, that's a red flag. If we struggle to find what is the mission, what is the core values, what are the goals, what's the origin story, what are the things that the mass majority of this community believe and understand, if we can't figure them out, that's a red flag. And then last but not least, if we don't see that community managers, social media managers, Discord moderators are empowered to take ownership, to feel like they can shape and drive success. They can take on and answer questions. They feel as though that not only does their voice matter, but their voice is one that is in a leadership capacity. And so I will tell you, for me, the funny thing about this is it is that core mission of our podcast. We are greater than me. But before you can be part of a greater we, before you can be part of a great community, you first have to be the best me that you can be, which requires self-awareness, which requires people being able to kind of like check your ego at the door. But when I think about NFT projects and how we move them forward, I wonder how collaborative and how open the future of NFT projects will become the more we reimagine what this community looks like. Like right now, the art that we receive as an NFT is generative art, right? Randomly generated via a computer or code or via just the artist. But how many projects are empowering the community members to help shape the art that they represent? How many NFT projects are going out of their way to not just do what everyone else does and deliver different aspects of the art, of the utility? How many projects are finding ways to connect and communicate with those that aren't on Discord, that aren't active on Twitter? Hey, it's an issue for us. We have a Facebook group for this podcast. If you just search NFT 365 inside of Facebook, it'll say the pop-up group there. You can jump over there and join that, but that's not the answer either. And we have an email newsletter, hopefully that many of you have signed up over on the website, so you get the weekly newsletter. But we're going to be delivering and activating some more communication messages, some that are one-to-many, and then some that are facilitating a many-to-many relationship. The last thing I want to share from a standpoint of community and NFT projects is NFT projects really need to hone in on the role of content, the role of collaboration, and truly the role of that transparent access that they give their audience. I really believe that transparency and over-communication are the two most valuable aspects of community in 2022. If an NFT project is overly communicating and giving you all the updates and keeping you right up to date, while also being transparent in what they're doing successfully or not successfully, being transparent in the things that they care about, the things that they're working on. And it doesn't mean airing your dirty laundry. It doesn't mean that you're telling everyone everything. But it means that you're allowing people inside on a regular basis to determine on a regular basis how trustworthy you are as a leader. And I will say that transparency also comes through on our ability to not have to be front and center, our ability to not have to be the one that is involved in everything. And we also have to be willing and open to evolving as people. I truly believe in mankind and womankind and those that identify as non-binary. I believe we must be empathetic. There's a keynote talk that I gave for a couple of years called Digital Empathy. And what I focused digital empathy on was our ability to not just walk in someone else's shoes, but when we put on someone else's shoes, understand where those shoes have been and what those shoes have gone through to get to where they are right now. I believe part of this beauty of finding our people is that we can lean into our vulnerabilities. We can start to open up and share. Anyone that's been on Twitter Spaces or Clubhouse or social audio, you will know that there is a feeling of vulnerability and connection that's deeper than anything we've ever felt on social media. And I believe part of that is because the audio format is very intimate, right? For all of you that are listening right now, just via audio, you are painting the picture of what I'm doing, right? You have no idea. Maybe you've even seen a couple of videos. You have no idea what my environment is, what I'm wearing, the things that I'm sharing. But when I tell a story or I'm explaining what I'm doing, you as the listener get to paint the picture based on your experience. When you watch a video, me as the creator determines what you're looking at, what you're thinking about. I mean, I took my microphone off of my podcast stand and I have it in my hand for this episode because I wanted to walk around and I was just kind of feeling it today. And I thought it would be a little bit of a change. But for you as listeners, like you didn't know that. The beauty of this is that intimacy is truly powerful. It's magical. It allows us to really connect at a much deeper level. And it also comes down to trust. You trusting the fact that I won't give in. I won't sell my soul. I won't take offers or lose the transparency that I have with each and every one of you. And I'll just say this, for anyone that's launching an NFT project, be strategic, be methodical, but also be willing to start building, empowering, growing your community today. But more so than anything else, be active and open in other communities that you're a part of. There's something really cool about the fact that if we buy into a new NFT project and we are welcomed into that group, we have the opportunity to connect with 10,000 other owners that are connected to us via this JPEG. And I think that is such a beautiful entry point for community. But it's also a different entry point than we've ever had before. And so as we look at the future of business, the future of community, the future of NFTs, I'm going to tell you this. I believe the communities that are facilitating collaboration, that are empowering community members to have roles in the Discord, the communities that are opening up new lines of communication so that people don't have to be in Discord or on Twitter to still be, in the know with the project and part of that community. The projects that are understanding that, yes, whales are important and yes, we're going to have flippers and those that are in it for the short term. But if you're focused more on the greater good, the mission, the values, the passion and the purpose that is shared amongst all of your members, then that stuff won't bother us. That stuff's part of the game. That stuff's part of where we are all going. And my friends, I've never, ever been more bullish than I am right now on the fact that I do believe that we are all in the same business. We are all in the business of trust. How do we build trust? How do we maintain trust? How do we scale trust? And that scaling trust one is by far the hardest one. But the answer to that is actually community, which is why I believe community is the future of business. And I believe that what we are building here with this podcast, what we are building with the Mint 365 project, what we are building around the different aspects within our Discord, within our Twitter communities, within our Facebook, those that listen to the podcast, those that read our blog post, that sign up for our email newsletter. I believe we are making the world a better place. And I believe ultimately we are tapping into, well, my mission and my kind of goal when I was asked as a senior in high school. My goal and mission has been pretty simple. Connect great people with great people to do great shit. And I believe so many of you that are listening to this right now are great people. I think there's others that are on that kind of borderline where you're trying to decide, are you looking for a shortcut or are you looking to be great? And I hope you find that kind of thread to pull yourself into being great. But more so than anything else, I think the beauty and the byproduct of this is that maybe you listen to one episode, maybe you listen to every episode. But the thing that I am excited about is our community can be the jumping off point for you to find a project that changes your life. The education that allows you to enter and share your purpose and your passion with the world in a way that you never knew was possible. The idea that you listen here and be inspired and you create your own creator coin or your own NFT and you start to build a business that allows you to connect with people in ways that you felt that you wanted to be connected with when you were going through things. And lastly, if I had to look at, like, for me, like if I had to say I reach for the stars and I look at life and what I was put on this earth to do or my role, like, I do believe it's the idea of how do we mitigate, how do we eliminate, how do we change the loneliness epidemic that is greater than it's ever been before. And I believe the way that we mitigate that is that we allow people to recognize that they are not alone. We help people find their people. We help people be empowered. We help people understand that their voice matters and their role in this world matters. And lastly, and maybe most importantly, is that we are all fueled and connected and have a superpower. We all have a superpower that makes us unique. And if you want to stand out from the noise, if you want to make an impact, you want to find your people, if you want to be a vital member of a community, you have to be the one thing that nobody else can be. You have to connect, own that one thing that no one else can copy, no one else can emulate, no one else can steal from your paperwork, no one else can right click and save. And that is your unique self. I believe we all have our own individual superpowers, and we are all beautifully unique. The thing that we just have to do now is step into that greatness and be open to the possibility and the different ways that we can find our people. Until tomorrow, my friends, make it a great day. Cheers.